Nigel here again with you from Nigel's Modelling Bench, and start by saying thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you for my positive comments and stuff about this build, and thank you for all your support on some other issues that you've been messaging me about. So where are we now? I've sanded out the tailplanes. From the references I could find, it looks like it's smooth across that main centre section, and then the bits just outside of the panel lines there are not smooth, so I've just described a little line in there. We'll see what it looks like when it's primed. It'll probably need some more work. So now I'm going to look at getting these wings on, and a couple of you have said you want to see how I go about this. Now, as you know, I've done a lot of work on here with plastic card everywhere, trying to get the attitude right, trying to get the position right so that the leading edge and the trailing edge will fit properly, and it's proving to be quite a nightmare, to be honest. And I think this is the sort of best I'm going to get, really. Now, what I'm going to do is just glue one wing on first of all, and I'm only going to glue it on the tab because I want to be able to move it. You can see here this trailing edge needs to come up, and I've got this, where's it gone? I've got a piece of this is a paper cotton bud shaft that I can wedge in here like so, and that sort of lifts the trailing edge up when I want to sort of put some glue in there to let it set. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I've got these blocks and everything here just to make sure it's all nice and square, and it is. So get those out of the way for the minute. So I've got this, this is the Mr. Cement Deluxe. So what I'm going to do is just put some glue in here, in this slot, because I just want it to glue on the slot. There we go. So that should do us. Put the lid back on, and then I should be able to just slot this one in, and hold that in place. Now, I don't really want to put this wedge in behind at the moment, because when I put the wedge in, it tends to pull the wing away. So I'll leave that like that. Now what I'm going to do now, just to make sure, a couple of pieces of masking tape. I'm going to put that onto the wing like so, and just pull it across like so. Now I should be able to get my 1, 2, 3 blocks again. Put them like that, get this in the middle. I need to put a small sanding stick under the front here, under here, just to make sure the tailplanes sit down, and then I can get that like so. That's all nice and square, and I can make sure these wings sit at the same height, so we're all nice and square, so everything looks good when it's on the ground. Now, I haven't put any glue in the front or the leading or the trailing edges, because I want to be able to move them around afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there to set, and then I can play with that wing, and then I can get this wing right to it, because if you notice, we've got some movement there front and back, and I want to make sure everything's nice and square, because these panel lines are going to have to line up, and I don't want them to be off square. So that's why I'm doing one wing at a time, guys. So there we are, that's going to sit like that. Tailplanes are down, everything's good. In fact, I'm going to just check, just eyeball, I've got some anhedral, not dihedral. So there we go. And I think that'll do us. Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave that to dry now for, I don't know, half an hour, and then we'll look at getting the leading edge and the trailing edge done. Right, there we go. So both wings are glued on now, and they're going to now set and cure for probably overnight until I start messing with it, because there's a lot of glue in there. I've used super glue in the trailing edges, I've used super glue around the leading edges, and then I've put loads of extra thin down in the joints, and now it can really sit there and set. I've also fitted the undercarriage so that I could basically sit it on a cocktail stick on the front like this on a flat base, and then take a rule and just measure up and make sure my wingtips are at the same height so it all looks good. I've also just clipped in the engines. They're a very tight fit, just fitted them in just to check that they're going to all look okay. So now we can see the model is really starting to take shape, and I'm really starting to like the look of it. I like that hump on the front where it's got the refueling probe. So yeah, we're going to leave that now to go off. So in the meantime, I'm going to get on and paint these wheels. Now I've done a couple. If you remember, I made this jig. Basically it's made from a couple of bits of tubing and holes drilled in here, and then I've chamfered the holes so that they don't actually touch the wheel, so you won't get the paint capillarying underneath. Now unfortunately all these wheels are a bit of a mess, as I've said a few times, and they're all off center. So I'm going to do the back first. So if I just pop this in here, and I'm going to have to look under my magnifier so I can see it, but I'm just going to turn the wheel until I get it in the right place, and then with my airbrush, I've lost my piece of paper. Just get a piece of paper here, just check the flow, and then just spray some white in there very lightly, back to air, let it dry, and then put some more on, cut to air, cut to air, and there we go, that's the wheel painted. So now I can come in with my cocktail stick again and take the wheel out, and we can see that on the back there, the back of the wheel is painted, and then we can put the wheel in from the front. Whoops. And again, I'm just going to take it over here under my magnifier, and I just want to check that it's near as damn it on center, like so. Then hold that in place, and then just again just spray, let it build up, and then take the wheel out, and we can see now that one's gone a bit off center. So what I can do now is put it back in, put it back in, paint it, and it should look a lot better. There we go. So it's not absolutely perfect, but for what you're going to see of the wheels, bearing in mind when it's down on the ground, you can see the wheels are quite high up, and then you've got the gear doors over them. So luckily they're a bit of a mess, these wheels, but they're going to be covered up. So if you remember, I said before in a previous video, I did recommend if you were building this as like a museum quality model, perhaps look at some resin wheels. But having said that, they're hardly visible, so it's probably best to just go with it. There we go, that's that painted a bit quicker. And then again on the front, get it lined up. Some are slightly tighter than others, so you don't have enough friction on the cocktail stick to pull them out. There we go. Just hold that in there like that, and then this will get a wash at the end anyway, so any small imperfections. So that's a shame, that's a problem when it does that, because I don't want to push it from the front or damage the paint. Yeah, the cocktail stick has decided it's not going to hold it at all, so I'll cut a bit more off. Let's use the other end. All these things are sent to try us. There we go. So now we can see that wheel is painted. So I'm going to get all the others done and then I'll come back. Okay, so we're moving on now, and I've got all the wheels painted now, so you can see them. There's a selection of the rear wheels there, and there's the front wheels there. You can see those all painted up. So I'm going to give them a gloss coat next, and that'll put them in line for a good wash then. I've also masked up, remember I painted the engine faces in a lovely gloss black. I've masked up the actual outer rim because that is like a very highly polished. I'm probably going to do it in like a chrome, just to, because it will tone it down when it's against the grey and everything. So I'll probably do them like a chrome. This is stainless steel. This is Alclad stainless steel I've painted this with. So you have a very, very thin coat. You can see I've made a template. You can see the circles here. I've used my little circle cutter, cut out our masking tape, put it around the outside and then just spray it. So now I'm going to dull them down and give them like a sort of natural aluminium finish. So if I spray them, you'll see that straight away they take on this kind of aluminium colour. Okay, so just dry that back. And you can see when you compare that to that, you can see I've got the effect I'm after. Now these nose cones, most of the pictures I've seen, they're actually matte grey. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to make a hole in a piece of plastic card, pop it over the top and then spray them grey. So that will demarcate them. They've also got a ring, luckily they've got a ring of bright around the base of that cone, so that should look quite authentic. So we'll get that done. So just do another one of these now, get the matte on there, dry that back, and that looks a lot better than having it all glaringly shiny. There we go. So that's those engine faces all done now. That's the first one again. So yeah, I'm quite happy with the way that looks. And they'll get a black wash to lay out between the vanes. Something that someone has said, if you remember, I said the real engine has a stator on the front. Well, these engines aren't very accurate in that respect. I don't love this plane enough to go and spend money on aftermarket, but if I was building it, you know, I mean, I could always change it at a later date, I guess, but I would be fitting it. If you look at the metallic detail set, they've got these front covers which are got a deeper recess. Then you've got photo etch vanes to go in there, and then you've got the photo etch stator to go over the front, so it's a lot more accurate. So if you are building this as a masterpiece, I would suggest going that road. So that's all the matte varnish now. I'm going to get on and gloss varnish these wheels, and then I'll be back with something else. Right then, guys, so yeah, today is Tuesday the 24th of September 2019. We can see here the wings are on, as you can see, and I've put some Mr. Surface around the upper and lower surfaces. I've done the back of the engines in Alclad jet exhaust, so they'll be masked off when we paint the rest of the thing. Obviously still haven't fitted the glazing yet because I've still got these holes open, which and still got sanding to do. The front of the engines I masked off with some Vallejo masking fluid, which I may live to regret, we'll see. And then I've gone round the outside with Alclad chrome, and it was really bright, so I've toned it down with some Tamiya X22. So yeah, if you spray Alclad chrome and it's really bright and it looks really good, and you want to keep that, then if you go over it with Aqua Gloss, which is another Alclad product, then it keeps it shine. If you want to tone it down a bit, use any other sort of acrylic varnish, and it sort of just tones it down. And you can use this to effect, I think, for probably, if you're doing natural metal finishes, you could use it for toning. And also if you want to use Alclad, you could, like, if you were doing this in natural metal finish, you might paint this panel here black, you might do this one in a dark grey, you might do this one in a lighter grey, you might even do some panels out here in white, and then when you actually paint your Alclad on it, you almost kind of fog it on, and it really does give you a realistic look. Alclad have got a bad rap, I think. I love them. I mean, the paints I've tried, I've got the Extreme Metals and the Vallejo Metal colours. Do you know what? I don't actually think that much of them. I like the Vallejo Model Air silver and steel, or aluminium and steel should I say, on the brush. But for metal finishes, I personally I love Alclads. My experience of Vallejo is I've thrown one away because it would never ever dry, and the Extremes I don't know. And they're enamel based products as well, so you've got to be really careful when you're doing washes and stuff. So so what have we done in this video? We've done that, we've done the engines, we've done the wheels and tyres. They're glossed now, as you can see, and I've got this here, and I'm going to leave this to dry. So there's not really much else I can do, because obviously I need to leave these for 24 hours to go hard before I can pull the masking off and then mask them again and paint the cone on the front. That's going to be in the grey colour. This I want to leave for at least a day or two to let it all settle and sink. I can feel here that there's a raised lump in the middle. Even though I sanded all that flat, I can feel a raised, so that's settled a bit in there. Wheels and tyres I could get on with. I'm going to paint the undercarriage bays. I think after I've done the rest of it, we'll see how we go with that one. At the moment I'm leaving the undercarriage on there so I can put it down without it falling over and resting on the wings, for fear that it may just put a bit of a load on. But you get the idea. It's looking really good, I think. I'm really pleased with it, and even though it's had a few fit issues, it's been nothing that's insurmountable. It's the one thing I will say, it's a lovely plastic to work with. And as has been commented in my Galaxy review, one guy was saying he's had all sorts of troubles with Roden, but he did say that the Galaxy looked a million times better, and I tend to agree. Although I got that spot in the windshield, and I've emailed Roden twice now, I haven't heard anything back. And as you know, I mentioned before in a video, I got onto the importers and I've got to send a receipt which has got a date on it. If it's over the 3 months, they won't honour the claim. I've got to spend the sprue to them, and then they send it back to the manufacturers. Well, what if I never get it back? You know, great. So a little bit annoyed really with that one. I may just take it back to Antics and get a refund, we'll see. So so there we go, guys. So that's that for this one. That's been part 6. I'm sorry it hasn't been very long, and I could really have made it longer if I was doing more, but I did say at the beginning of this I'd get a video on it every day. I probably won't get a video out on this tomorrow because there's sort of nothing to do. I can't really do much because everything's sort of setting, so I've got to do something else now. So thanks for watching, and please give us a like and a subscribe, and thanks for your comments. It seems that this aircraft has drawn a lot of interest, and a few of you have bought the kit having seen my build. I mean, it is 25 quid. It's for the money, it's great. Oh, and the other thing is, what was I going to do? I was going to do this as well, wasn't I? If you remember, I put 17 grams of weight in the nose. So let's see just how much we had to put in there. So that's 6 grams. So they tell you to put 10 grams in. So if you put 11 grams in, that's 1 gram. So I've got 17 grams in there. So they tell you to put 10, and it does look like 10 would be absolutely ample. We've got more weight to add yet in front of the main undercarriage. So yes, 10 grams. Let's just see how much weight it takes to make it fall over. Oh, it's balancing there. It's balancing there on the undercarriage. So I know I've got 17 grams in there. And that is 9. So you could in fact get away with 8 grams. So yeah, we now know that 10 grams is... Oh, I've got the cockpit as well, haven't I? So, but I did remove some plastic. So 10 grams is going to be enough. Okay, so me going overboard was unnecessary. So now you know 10 grams in the nose, as suggested by the instructions, is enough. But normally most kits I've found when they say 10 grams, it's not enough. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.